osuus puhelusta tallennetaan. Tietosuojaseloste suomeksi löytyy verkkosivulta valtori.fi. Du har ringt till växel. Denna del av samtalet spelas in. You are through to our switchboard. Please note that your conversation with the switchboard operator is recorded.
Lupa- ja valvontavirasto Växel.
Hi, could I be put through to the Health and Social Services Complaints section?
Let's have a look who's available there. Just a moment, please.
Soitit lupa- ja valvontaviraston asiakaspalveluun. Valitse 1, jos asiasi koskee soteri-rekisteröintiä. Valitse 2, jos asiasi koskee alkoholilupaa tai valvontaa. Valitse 3, jos asiasi koskee sosiaali- tai terveysalan ammattioikeusrekisteröintiä. Valitse 4, jos asiasi koskee muuta sosiaali- tai terveyspalvelun asiaa. Puhelu tallennetaan palvelulaadun kehittämiseksi. Tietosuojaseloste löytyy verkkosivuiltamme lvv.fi. Kaikki palveluneuvojamme ovat varattuja. Palvelemme sinua mahdollisimman pian. Valitettavasti palvelussamme on ruuhkaa. Vastaamme 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 mahdollisimman pian.
Hello?
Valitettavasti palvelussamme on ruuhkaa. Vastaamme mahdollisimman pian. 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 Valitettavasti palvelussamme on ruuhkaa. Vastaamme mahdollisimman pian.
Lupa- ja asiakaspalvelu.
Hi, I was trying to talk to the social and health complaints section.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear what you're saying.
One moment, I'll just... Can you hear me better now?
Yes, now it's better.
Okay, one minute, I'll just close this door that's beside me too, sorry. I was trying to get to the complaints section of social and medical and Valvira.
What kind of question would you have?
Well, I have it's kind of a complex, I have a two-part question. I filed a complaint about my ex-partner who had done a lot of things that she wasn't supposed to do, such as force one of her patients into my life, and which I know is not right, and I have audio recording of her saying that if Valvira ever find this out, that she'll lose her license to practice. Now Valvira, as far as I know, were lied to by her and accepted as sort of a fraudulent pathologizing of me, and I was trapped in a situation of severe psychological and domestic abuse with my ex-partner, which involved immense abuse of her professional position. However, now she has taken to lying to the Helsinki District Court about the nature of those complaints, saying that I filed them without cause, that they were frivolous. However, I am very aware that those complaints contain sanctionable material, such as the forcing the patient into my life. And now I've had to publish some of this information. So I've actually had to publish one of the phone calls where she cajoles me into accepting this patient being involved in my life when I didn't want them, but I was in a vulnerable situation. And I have to ask Valvira both for all the data requested around the complaints, as I'm taking this matter forward to Europe. And I also wanted to know if Valvira wanted me to refile the complaints, given the scope of the situation and the fact that I have a psychotherapist who's now a trainer, who has committed an escalating level of false reporting to authorities, both her professional oversight body, which is Valvira, the Helsinki Police, and Helsinki District Court, to prevent being exposed as a very, 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 very vicious domestic abuser. And now I'm in this very, it's actually like being living in a nightmare. Now I have contacted experts, like psychiatrists and psychologist experts outside of Finland about this. I spoke to Andrew Cicchetti, the expert on narcissistic coercive control, before he died. Rest in peace. I spoke to Kate Amber, the coercive control expert. I've been back and forth with other experts in email, and Kate Amber burst into tears at the severity of it. Cicchetti was prepared to write danger assessments, recognised the abuse. The only difficulty was him being in New York, and fees for that. And he, told me he hoped I survived. So this is something that's it's a difficult thing. I understand that when I spoke to Valvira, if I email and stuff, I was very distressed, and I come across as very shrill because I have post-traumatic stress disorder from severe police torture, which has allowed the abusive ex-partner to to pathologize me to people, to go, oh look, they're crazy. Now, that also included them doing that to Helsinki police, and I had to request a letter from my psychiatrist informing the Helsinki police that, contrary to my ex-partner's statements, that I was not psychotic, and that I have nil history of psychosis. I also then, see, this has all happened in between, and then Valvira, because she began telling Valvira I was crazy and using Darvo, I had a lot of difficulty talking to Valvira. I also have her discussing with a police officer in email breaching my medical privacy. Now, because she's breached my medical privacy, like, pretty much at will, abusing her professional position, I now have quite a lot of false information in my medical records, which I'm struggling to deal with. Some of which, actually 99.9% of it is evidenced as false by court papers from Ireland, from the police torture case. So I've had someone run extreme riot on me, and I am recognised as disabled in Finland and in Ireland, and I do believe that I have, if I cannot have a panic attack, I do believe I have a solid enough case, and that Valvira should possibly make some accommodation to talk to me, because it's going to blow up in their face at some point, because it's now international, as a result of their consistent false reporting to authority, which also involves telling a court that my new partner didn't exist, even though there's phone recording of them telling me when I moved into a fraudulent employment contract apartment from their company that they were spying on me via my neighbour, which is all in phone recordings. They knew I had a new partner, and they spent 9 months telling a court they didn't exist, and that I was secretly still in love with them, and I had to keep requesting that they stop because they were causing distress in my new partner. And eventually my new partner, who was an IPV survivor herself, suffered a near fatal overdose and the collapse of our relationship. And they have continued to tell the authorities that this woman didn't exist. So now, because of this, I've had to flee refoulement deportation. This is how crazy this has got. Although it is very real, to mainland Europe to seek assistance from human rights NGOs there, and I have people in 2 other European countries from where I am coordinating access to legal support. So I would think that this is something that Valvira might want to get ahead of, or at least meet me halfway and discuss with me before it gets more serious.
Okay. Did you say you had already filed a complaint with Valvira?
Yeah, I did. I tried to, but I was extremely distressed. Like when I tried to file the complaint, the person had started subjecting me to police raids via false reporting, and had told me they had the power of life and death over me, and that they got to decide when I die, and I couldn't get. And the only support I got at the time was I had contacted every Finnish domestic abuse organisation, who told me I met the threshold for human trafficking, and to talk to the police. But the police wouldn't help me. They didn't believe me because, I'm tattooed and I have pressured speech from trauma and ADHD. So and also I'm not. She's essentially a woman of higher station, really, isn't she? She's a psychotherapist in Finnish society. She's a white lady, cis-het lady. So, I'm just a tattooed, disabled Irish writer. So I'm lower on the rung. That's what I was told when they were torturing me in Vanda prison with sensory deprivation, isolation, and things. I was told I had those calls were recorded. It was with lawyer Juha Sarkinen. I was told I had no rights in the face of what she was doing to me. So I have to follow this up because it is gradually going more and more international, and I am releasing the stuff that's her talking about. I lose my license if this is found out. I lose my license if this is found out. Because this is all the stuff she's lied about. But I've recently got a court judgment from court proceedings I couldn't attend, where they once again state that I had filed complaints with Valvira as frivolous things to stalk and harass. Whereas, if I recall from my Valvira complaint, which was quite granular in the trauma format, I was distressed and had, valid points of practice. I think if someone's partner, whether they're a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist or a doctor, starts forcing their patients into their partner's life and such, I think that and accessing breaching their medical privacy and abusing their professional position, I think that that's actionable.
Okay, and have you received a decision from?
No, I never received anything. They told me, I phoned once to find out because it was escalating. It escalated to a point where she was having me raided by the police every 2.5 months. And then I would get released because it would be found out she lied about something, and then I would get released, and then it would happen again. So I phoned once and I was told that I wouldn't get the response. And I said that didn't sound correct as I needed it for records. And I spoke to a guy, I think, I'd have to go through my phone recordings. But, I never got a follow-up on that. But I am aware that she has now consistently lied about the contents of that complaint in court. And now I need that and all the paperwork around it, and I need to file a new complaint because this person, they're not going to stop until I'm dead, and I'm probably going to have to petition the EU Parliament for this because it's now become like a pyramid of false reporting, and no one wants to blink.
With Valvira, then you should have received a written decision regarding it. If you want, I can take a look and see if I can find your complaint.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it was that you filed it?
It would be somewhere between January and March 2024.
Okay, let's see. Can you give me your name?
It's E for Echo, F for Florida, and then the surname is Fluff, or Fluff.
Okay, let's see.
Sorry, I hope my explanation made sense. Sorry, I was trying to. I have bad ADHD. I've had bad ADHD and I can't access my medication, and it's so I'm always worried about rambling.
Yes, I understand, but I do understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
I can't find it. Can you once again tell me how to spell your surname?
It's F for Florida, L for Larry, U for Uppsala. I think that's F for Florida, F for Florida.
Okay, let's see. Yes, I can see a complaint here. It seems like it has already been finished, the handling, but is it so that you have not received any kind of written decision?
Not that I'm aware of, to to be fair, or
Okay.
if it is possible in the ADHD chaos of like the police raids. Uh, I mean, when I first started contacting your organization, she had started. I was 2 months into her terrorizing me about that she was going to tell the police that I was psychotic. This was basically as punishment for wanting to break up with her and wanting my belongings back. And then uh, she started retaliating to valid theft complaints with having me raided and uh, trying trying to have me falsely imprisoned by breaching my medical privacy, and what I one friend in Spain has described as a suicide push, which she was obsessed with, basically making situations so bad that she would get back in contact and be like, "Why haven't you killed yourself yet?"
Okay.
So, and that's those calls are recorded as well.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell me the name of the person
Her
you
name is
filed the complaint about?
Anna Voiraverta.
Okay. I can see it here.
Yeah.
If you want, I can leave a call request to the person who has been handling the complaint. They should be able to tell you more about what kind of decision has been made, and if you want, you can also discuss whether it's possible to file another complaint. So it's best to discuss the matter with the person who has been handling your case.
Yeah, and are you
So if you
able?
want, I can ask.
Yeah, that's great. That'd be great. Would you be able to leave notes on what I've said, or, or
Yes,
do you,
I'm able to write a summary about what you said.
yeah,
So if you want, I can definitely ask them to give you a call to this number you're calling
yeah,
from
this
right
would be
now,
great. This is
and you can still.
this is the only number I have is the Irish number at the moment. Like, because there's another scale of this is um, the patient she forced into my life is a lawyer, and that has obviously has made everything incredibly difficult because no one is as well connected as a lawyer. So I got treated very abusively. Um, she had me in a disability rehabilitation work scheme that was fraudulent, which is with renting the company from the apartment. And then when the abuse escalated, she began a fraudulent eviction. And appears that the lawyer patient or someone appears to have been friendly with someone in Ulas Atalaitas, because Ulas Atalaitas refused to give me, the disabled person, time to get, organise a storage unit with Kela and stuff, and gave her control of all of my belongings, which includes medical records. She'd already stolen handwritten medical records, which just I have no copy of because the doctor is dead and they're from the 80s. She now has all my medication, my mobility aid, which has caused a worsening spine injury where I am. And it's impossible for the person to claim, that they're a health professional when they know that they have my medication, my mobility aid, my clothes, my spine scans from Ireland, which I can't really get again. They're on discs, and Ireland is not very good with records. So this is an added permutation of abuse that I don't know how to fix. So it's kind of cruel and unusual, and I'm now 80 days without my medication that I need to survive and suffering immensely. And international friends are getting increasingly concerned.
Yes, I understand it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
So I can definitely write up a short summary about what you've told me on the phone and leave a call request with the person who has been handling your case.
Okay.
And then you can discuss the matter further with them on the phone.
Okay, thank you
So
so
I can
much.
ask.
I'm
Yes.
very sorry
And they
about
will give
this
you a
long,
call back.
rambling explanation. I'm sorry.
I understand completely that it's a very difficult situation. So,
Yeah.
so the person handling the case will be in contact with you, and they will give you a call to this number you're calling from right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a lovely
Yes.
day. Bye.
Thank you.